Hey guys, Victor here, and here are my thoughts on the film A.X.L. or A.X.L, written and directed by Oliver Daly. So for those guys who don't know, this film is about a top secret military program called A.X.L, and it is supposed to be the military dog of the future. The dog actually escapes, and while he's outside, he befriends a down-in-his-luck teenager. They form a lovely bond until the government tries to attain their asset yet again. If you guys didn't know anything about this film, that is completely normal because I believe there was little to no marketing for this film whatsoever. I wasn't aware of this film till the week before, and so I'm not sure how much you guys have been anticipating this film. I wasn't exactly looking forward to it just off the preview. It seemed like a run-of-the-mill movie. Nothing too exciting. One of the things I didn't like about this film is some of the acting. Now, the main character, played by Alex, I'm not going to pronounce his last name because I'm definitely going to butcher it. His lines were so-so. It was 50-50. Some of the lines I totally believed when he said them. Others, it felt like he had a lack of emotion and there was no determination or no tone in his voice when he delivered certain lines. Then we have the main antagonist played by Dominic Raines. I believe the character was named Andric. Now, he was a little over the top for me personally. He felt like he could have been in his own separate film. But I don't know if that's something that you guys caught on, or if maybe that's something that you guys felt was right for the film. Personally, for me, I just felt it was over the top. Everyone else was okay. A lot of the rest of the things that I didn't like were really nitpicky things. Like, I had spoken to my father about the film. I was trying to explain to him that the government, was chasing the asset A.X.L, and he was asking, well, doesn't the system have some sort of chip to be able to locate it? And it, got me thinking, no, they did not. They used drones in this film to find A.X.L, which seems a little silly considering all the technology that we have at the moment. You would think that a chip in place would be ideal. I mean, we have chips on our cell phones. It just seems kind of obvious. And I guess you could make the argument that you don't want to have some sort of chip be able to be used by the enemy. But then again, when you're putting so much money in an asset like that, you kind of want to make sure to know where it is at all times. Another thing that I found that was a little bit nitpicky on my part was the fact that A.X.L was kind of autonomous. It was a prototype, that's fine, but usually when you make a prototype, you kind of want a simple machine, something that can be easily controlled, and by making it autonomous, I mean, that's the reason why he escaped in the first place. It leads to a lot of problems, as we saw in the film, where he overrides the antagonist's command. Another thing that I had a problem with were some of the scenes with our protagonists, be it Alex or even Becky. There was a scene when they went to get gas, and A.X.L actually hacks an ATM machine, and instead of doing the kind of right thing, I guess, for a protagonist to do, to keep the money there, not actually take it, they go ahead and steal the money and run away with it. There's another scene where A.X.L gets basically demolished, and he is requesting new parts, and he takes the team to an abandoned 3D printer. Not abandoned, but it's a closed 3D printer, and they actually break in and take the parts, and there's no suggestion whatsoever that the parts were paid. I know this is nitpicky, but considering this is a child oriented film, it just seems to me that some of these acts are not something that would be deemed child friendly, or at least something that the parent may have to explain to the kid that this isn't something that you should do if you were placed in a certain situation. Now, one scene that kind of did get to me was the scene where A.X.L sacrifices himself to protect the character played by Alex, and he basically self-destructs. It's a very sad scene. However, it is not, or it doesn't hit its mark exactly the way I think the director wanted it to, and I think it's just basically because I wasn't as invested with the teenager and the kid relationship. It wasn't, as fulfilled or as flushed out as I wanted it to be. Hence, the main objective of that scene didn't quite hit for me. Now, overall, I think this is a kid-oriented film. There isn't too much for adults, but I think kids will get more of an enjoyment out of this film. Obviously, it's a dog and his boy. Those films tend to do well, and I don't think this one is one of them, unfortunately. I know it's being bashed by critics, and kind of well deserved, actually. But it is what it is. There is actually one scene that I would kind of deem as animal cruelty, or for lack of a better word, involving a flamethrower and A.X.L. But other than that, this is a very good film for children to watch. As for my grading, I'm going to give this film a 2D. That's it for this video, guys. Thank you for watching, and until next time, peace out.